Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. So we have here Chad, and we also have a fellow Chris, who's Scott from Canada, in for a special session here of everyone. The world will be okay, but we're not happy about it. Liverpool was on center stage here in the last hour, and we get to do a second recap and debrief and where's life going for us Evertonians right now. And so, yeah, uh, Chris, what did you think of the match yesterday and how things have been going the last couple of weeks now for Everton? I know we've had the points back and everything like that.
I firstly want to check if my sound's okay because I'm just going straight into the iPad here. So is it okay?
Yeah, your sounds okay.
It's probably not the best, but next time I'll have some better because I was. Anyways, never mind. Well, I have to tell you, you know, there's lots of different types of Evertonians out there, right? I mean, if you go on Twitter, you'll see. And I try my best not to be one of those guys that bandwagons it. But all I can tell you is, how I feel as an Evertonian, right? I mean, we all know that, being an Evertonian should come with a health warning. It's just, I call it being Evertoned. You get taken up that little bit and things are looking okay. And then boom, it's gone. So, like 4-game, we're on a 4-game winning streak. And then the next minute, we're into the record-breaking 30 years and 11 games. That's the 30 years ago was when it was worse, and that was Mike Walker, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
So, I mean, how am I feeling in general? I'm super frustrated. I'm trying not to take away Sean Dyche and Ian Woan and Steve Stone's far more qualified than I'll ever be. They played high level. They've been in that game for a long time. They would seem to know what they're doing, but when I watch it as a fan, sometimes I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking about. I'm not digging them.
Yeah.
For example, what was the point in bringing Ashley Young on? Just stuff like that. I mean, Seamus Coleman is if I'm an Everton player and Seamus Coleman walks in that changing room, I'm going, I'm like this, right? This guy walks on water, right? Unless he's injured. What the hell is going on with Godfrey? Now, I know I'm picking on 2 players there, and I'm only picking in 1 game. But this just seems to be a constant theme with Dyche, right? He just has these players that he kind of likes. He sticks with them. With them. And I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. So, that's, I guess we could kick off there with actually yesterday's game. I'm not saying that what's going on off the field hasn't affected those players. There's no way it cannot. And the broader scale of things, this Premier League's in danger of becoming an absolute joke. It really is. Taking points off, giving points back, all the other clubs that really. If you just think about it from a logical point of view, Everton cannot be the only team that have broken rules along the way. We're hearing about Leicester now. But I don't bog down in that. I'm just saying that must affect those players mentally. It's got to. But if we're going game by game and we're going on a debrief here, probably we can go on forever how long it's been, 30-year record, 11 games. It doesn't matter. That game's gone now unless we've got a time machine. We need to think about the next game, which I think is Bournemouth away, where we haven't got a great record. I'm not sure. I think we'll just, I'm happy to just talk about the subs they made. Lack of, let's take a chance here and go to 4-4-2, 2 up top, 2 big men up top. Let's pump it forward. And if you're going to do that, you got to have a couple of fullbacks that can attack. And Godfrey can, and neither can Mikalenko.
Yeah. So, and I'll probably do some more of the repeat of my debrief that I was doing live a little bit later. But yeah, I think everything you're saying there, Canadian Chris is exactly right, and there's the challenge right now of what. Yes, and I think we were on the phone last week, Chad, about who should we bring in at right back, and I thought Coleman and maybe Patterson as the right midfielder, and you can tell him where to position himself, and then you have someone we actually are proud to own their shirt of instead of. If I was to get a shirt right now, I guess Dwight McNeil, but isn't that tragic? I guess Branthwaite. It's just it may awkwardly not fit on the back. It would start to curve over and be under your shoulder blades and be uncomfortable to wear. But yeah, how did you feel about the game, Chad? I know you weren't able to join us yesterday.
Well, yeah, well, I'm in good shape. So I did take a strong dose of a horse tranquilizer earlier today when I tried to rewatch. That is worn off. So I'm feeling a little bit better. This is going to be my therapy session for us right now. No, I'm disheartened. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. I think all these players. Can I curse on this? Can I swear? Can we use vulgarity?
I think so.
These players are shit. These players are shit from top to bottom. I'm tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. You know, the funny thing is that we hear, or at least we hear it in the States, we hear that, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But in Everton's case, it's the definition of stupidity that we keep seeing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. You said it, Chris, is that, you know, who's guaranteed of the shirt? In my opinion, it starts with Jared Branthwaite. You could say James Tarkowski, and then everyone else has been a massive disappointment for me this season. I don't want to give Onana the stick that other people do, and I have a rant saved for later on Amadou Onana. But besides the options being so bare, where is not just the creativity with the players on the pitch, but where is the creativity in the dugout with Sean Dyche not trying something else besides let's bring on Ashley Young, as you mentioned, Scottish Chris. Let's just switch on like for like with DCL and Beto at the 60-minute mark. This is not a creative way of solving a problem. I don't know where he turns, but I'm tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. And I am just so glad that they are taking 3 weeks off. They can go to Portugal. They can, God knows what they will do while they're in there. I hope they eat wonderful food. I hope they enjoy themselves. I hope they take about 2,000 shots a day on goal. And I hope they come back a different side, because I can't continue to watch the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Now, I will add, and I think before we go into the debrief, you brought up something that I think is certainly in our kind of follow Everton group stirred up quite the reaction. And I'm not sure we're all on different pages, but how we feel about what's okay right now. A team that is, you said, Mike Walker back in the from quite a while ago was the last time we had 11 matches, no victories. We know that we can't replace players right now, but do we really want to reward anyone? And in my view, it maybe isn't a reward, but it seems like one to those that are in a tough working class area. You're spending all your money to go to a match, go travel across the country, even now going to away fixtures and seeing these kind of performances, and people are quite frustrated and outraged. I'm curious what your guys' stance on this trip to Portugal is.
I don't know. What does Dyche have up his sleeve for this one? I'm looking forward to them coming back only in the hopes that Ganagué should be healthy, Dan Juma should be healthy, Dele Alli should be closer, and I can't believe we're going to be at the point of the season, and this really is going to be my therapy, because we're going to be at the point of the season where Dele Alli is going to come in and be our savior, unfortunately. And you could hit me over the head right now, and I would probably be more surprised that Dele Alli would be doing that rather than my 6-year-old coming in and hitting me over the head with a baseball bat. But that's what it's looking like, because I don't know where the goals are going to come from in this side. He's Decore. Was he there yesterday? Besides the 2 volleys he tried he put on frame, and he was supposed to come into the side and reawaken Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we were going to run all day for us, and we were going to look like a different side with Decore back in. We've looked worse since Abdoulaye Decore has come back in the side. So I don't know. I don't know what answers. I don't know what answers Sean Dyche has, except for getting some of these injured players back in, and just trying different, machinations of a lineup. Trying Danjuma on the left, Daban on the right, Gomez up top. Maybe moving Decore back to more of a central role. I don't know what the options are. I went into that match yesterday thinking, I would give Beto a real run of games here. And then I watched Beto, and I'm saying, well, this was pointless. Like,
he felt absent, didn't he?
There was just very little. There's a lot of effort without activity. I don't even know how that's possible, but it seems like he's working his butt off, and we are getting absolutely nothing to show for it. Chris, where are you, Canadian Chris? Where are you at on Beto? Because I feel like I'm bipolar in that I want to see him come into the side, and then I don't ever want to see him come into the side. Where do you sit right now with this guy?
Well, I'll tell you, when I went into that Kentucky Fried Chicken and I got that chicken off him, it was off and it was cold, so I was happy. And then next thing he's playing for Everton, so I don't know. Beto. Sorry, that's the dog. He's going to bark. Beto, I think he deserves a run. He's unorthodox. He seems to. He's got a great celebration, by the way. I like that one. I think maybe I'm going to get shot down for this, but is there a way we can persevere with Beto and Dom? Is there a way that could work? That you heard people saying the other on Twitter there, Dom's useful out wide, he can play. I've seen Dom with the ball at his feet on occasion, and he does do some pretty tricky. Looks like he's good close control and stuff like that. But the thing with Dom is, you could see it yesterday. I think every touch he had, although they weren't great passes, he kind of got stuck in his feet, and his confidence is just, and that's what happens to those type of players, right? They just, it's a waiting game. But Beto, I don't know if Sean Dyche has got the. This sounds terrible, but I don't know if he's got the managerial skills to get the best out of Beto. Even I don't really know what they are. I mean, he's just an awkward. He's like a fucking gazelle, isn't he? Just causing trouble. I'm trying to player in the past that was kind of like him, that he doesn't know what he's doing with the ball. So how can he looks like he can score a decent goal. That header he scored the other day, great goal. I mean, what's the options?
I don't know. Well, so Sean Dyche, who does Sean Dyche? And I don't want this to be me bashing on Sean Dyche. I would rather he be the manager right now than any other likely possibility. But we haven't yet to have a striker thrive under him. Neil Maupay looks like a different player at Brentford than he did last year with us. Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks completely lost. Beto is not the same player he was at Udinese. So what is the profile that we need to bring in of a striker that can actually thrive in a Sean Dyche system? I thought it was going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and now that doesn't seem to be the case. Is it two up front? Do we go with Beto and DCL up front, flanked by guys that are just going to get crosses into the box left and right? Oh, Jan, the Everton poet is here. Oh, I'm so excited. I've not been on a show with you yet. Here we go.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
How are you all?
I'm deflated and letting other people talk because I feel like I've vented my frustrations for hours on TV. But I'm sure you can rig me up again, there, Jan.
Oh, go for it. We'll stir the pot. No, I've been sat here. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be back a little bit more. Yes, thank you for having me. Okay, you were talking about a striker. Do you mix it up 4-4-2? Does DCL fit into that? And I don't know if I'm going to reset the whole conversation, but for me, when you're talking about that, tactically, what do we do differently? Do we keep the ball, or do we, and pass it across the back? Do we allow the opposition to have it? Do we counter? But we're not doing any of all these things that we claim to do. And yet our performance on the pitch, failing in the last third, is symptomatic and just an end product of everything else. Everything else we try to do, and we're only get up to 75, 80, 90%. We just don't get that final little bit. And that's, for me, that's prevalent throughout the club. And I know I spoke to Chris last night about this. So forgive me if you guys have talked about it, because I haven't been on in the background the whole time. But it's failures at every level. Discuss.
Well,
In a world of fine margins, we are not even 10% away from where we need to be in many respects. Maybe defensively, maybe positionally, we're at 80% because we're starting to slip goals in. But up front, and it's really tragic for me, I'm actually more positive than you'd think, because I watched Crystal Palace and I was so annoyed with that. And I'm seeing marginal improvement from that horrid performance, but it still doesn't matter. We're not getting points. And the best part is didn't we get a point against Palace? And we took on the game. We looked a little bit more edgy. McNeil might be our inroad to goal right now. He's at least striking the ball well, but I think, Chad, you were talking about like Brighton previously and how you said, hey, we're looking for that once in a blue moon chance, or like to get a win that we're not expecting. And we're kind of hoping for McNeil to do the same. Once a year worldies, you can't rely on that.
No. Well, Billy Lendenov did that. You know, we had a couple of good shots and goals, and then was absolutely, there's two ends of the spectrum. Brilliant strikes from like 35 yards out. But you said about DCO, and maybe he's wanting that kind of. There's a certain finesse to DCO's game that we don't permit. You know, he can hold the ball up and turn, but then he's going to want someone to, like Richarlison, to do something smart, open up space and feed him that ball, the second ball that he's laid off. And then you get players like McNeil and Harrison, and let's not forget these have come in and they fitted into maybe the tactics or plan Dyche has had, and they're very much impact, like bang, bang, bang. There's not much of. Okay, McNeil might do some things, but when was the last time you saw Harrison take on and beat a man and create 10 yards of space or an area in front of him for someone to...
He does it maybe once a game on a 2-on-1, but not consistently. And it's one thing, and I'm proud that he did one defensive thing, and that's all he did for 90 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. But if we trying to find silver linings here, because there are other sweets and products available, right? So I'll try and cover any logos here. But I have a big party-sized bag of things, and I think, you know, if I try and take one of these out and enjoy them, for every positive there is to say about Everton at the moment, I would struggle to survive.
See, this is the therapy that I think we all need right now. That's the only way to get through it. No, I think what you were saying is I think structurally it's broken down in every way. The recruitment has been poor. The financial management has been poor. The development in the academy has been poor. Like Sean Dyche even said this week, he doesn't have a body he can even bring in from the academy. And then we're left with the people on the pitch that are just not capable of putting the ball in the net, as frustrating and as simplistic as that sounds. So,
well, you're right. Yeah. Sorry.
No, please.
Peter said the similar thing that applies to other players like Richarlison. I think Peter said here, to be honest, Jan, I feel like it's Dyche's fault, at least in this regard, for selling Damari Gray and not replacing him. Now we have no creativity. And there was no long-term plan for me to replace Baines, Coleman, Arteta. You know, well, some of these iconic players, and we got Andre Gomez in, and he had a fluid style, but then he went downhill when Son broke his leg. And there's been no long-term plan for continuity in any regard, is what in that, like you said, whether it's financial, football. We don't have a free kick coach. Sorry.
Yeah, and
I'm trying to get Chris off on a rant here.
Well, I also wanted to. I'm not sure my goal is to have Canadian Chris rant.
I know. Can I sign up for a rant from Canadian Chris?
I'll do one.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Yes.
We're stirring pots, and I want to see this maple leaf explosion over here.
I was going to say, you know, Sean Dyche, when he does the interviews now, you can hear him, even in his voice, he's alluding to being unlucky. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You know, I've had blah, blah, blah. And he says, you know, we've had 24 shots on goal, blah, 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 blah. Right. See, that's what he does. And I got caught up on that in Whistler, Twitter the other day. And I got shot down a little bit. You know, we make our own luck and we do this and we do that. So that's fair enough. Yeah, I agree with that. I used to play professional. I understand that it should balance out. over the season, but it just doesn't seem to be doing that with Everton. But football in general is about fractions of seconds, fractions of inches. That's what it's all about. You look at that Brighton game last year, that came from absolutely nowhere. And we were talking about that for about 6 weeks. What about that Brighton game? What about the Brighton game? It was more or less kind of the same team, give or take a few, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened that day. Don't know what happened to Brighton. Don't know. But, it was a monster win and probably kept us up. That day, Dwight McNeil sort of stepped up quite a bit. Doucouré came up.
Yeah.
But what Everton, what Goodison Park needs right now, and this is, I don't think we've got a player that can do it, but they want a hero.
Mm-hmm.
They want a hero. Now, the heroes in the past, Everton fans are a little funny sometimes, and they can see through all the shit. See this stuff that Onana does? They fucking hate that. Now, if
And he didn't deserve to get the crowd going at that point. It's like, cool, I tackled someone. Congratulations, you did your job.
I've just
It's
blazed
like,
one over.
run your ass off for 50 yards, slide in, get back up, cover the space, do your job, and then we'll cheer you.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, look at Gravison, Dunk, Peter Reid, Andy Gray, Gareth Barry, Phil Neville, Cahill. Like, where's those players? We don't have those players right now. So they're looking for a hero. And I don't know who that hero can be, but because he's only got a certain amount of players. People are talking about Danjuma coming back. That is a big, big hope.
Dele Alli.
Yeah, you wait. It's coming though. It's coming.
No fucking way. I think he's got so many problems off field that we don't even know. But
we bought a lemon.
What's this talk about another contract? I don't get it. Like, I mean, we're getting a bit off the topic right now. I mean, this is not really helping the solution here, if there is one. But that fan base is just waiting for some kind of fucking hero to step up, and I don't know who that can be. I mean, DCL, he scores that goal a couple of seasons ago against Crystal Palace. The diving header. I mean, unbelievable that day. And he got
I didn't cry that day.
But
I did.
I don't know what's going on with him. I don't have the answer. I'm not Sean Dyche.
When you say hero, Chris, do you mean? I mean, heroes come in many forms, don't they? For me, one of the true heroes, just as an aside, in Lord of the Rings, Sam is a hero, but he might not be in the traditional role of a hero. Just to sort of preface that, do you mean that, or what I take from you saying that is that we used to have a team full of people who would stand up and do what needed to be done, like that idea of being kind when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Like Phil Neville was the kind of player that was understated, did the job, but was all, that kind of hero. Like you say, Carsley, Gravison, no nonsense, just focus on this is what I need to do. And that can be that's iconic for Evertonians. Is that what because I feel we're kind of missing somebody like that.
Because the crowd, I don't know about you, but who did we play? The game after we got the 10 points, the game after we got the 4 points back, was that West Ham?
Brighton, I think.
Yeah, it was after. Yeah, I think it was after that.
Brighton.
Okay.
Whatever it was, at home.
Welcome to Follow Everton, the home of Everton content expertise.
And lost hopes and dreams.
And good memories.
They played at home.
It would have been West Ham then.
I thought to myself, unless there was something wrong in the volume on my TV, I thought I was really disappointed with the crowd. They were on Everton's back. They were on the team's back. Probably it went so quiet after about 15 minutes. And this is what I'm saying, when do you hear the biggest crowd at Goodison? When somebody just rattles into a tackle, right? And they just get up and get this. Yeah. They love those kind of players. And that's usually what Everton teams are built on. Honest, solid players. Now, how many of those players can you say are honest? I'd say Dwight McNeil is a pretty honest player. Very limited with, left-sided only. He knows what his job is. Get crosses in the box, score spectacular goals, get the head down, and, get behind the ball and defend. That's his job, right? He's a bit off the boil at the moment. Don't know what's going on in his private life, but you'd think that was a big decision for a manager to make. If he's not head's not in it. You know, well, do you play him? Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of. Obviously, I wasn't gonna, but maybe it's something that's rumored and doing on social media. I've withdrawn from that. But yeah, Dwight McNeil on a personal level has actually gone through a very difficult time the last
It's
6 months or
wife's
so.
health and surgeries and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, last year, fellas, it seemed to be Yeremina, right? He got out of that car and he said, I will die for this badge. And he came back into the side, and we were a different team, and we were able to stay up as a result of that. I don't think there is anyone in this current squad, unless Seamus Coleman is going to come back and play again and be the heartbeat of this team that can capture the energy, the enthusiasm, the spirit of the fans at Goodison. I don't know who it is. Is it Onana? If he can actually put his head down, work and not cheerlead, and he certainly has the skill to do it. I think he gets a lot of stick because we want him to be more than he is at 22 years old. Yeah. Branthwaite doesn't have that personality. I don't know who it is.
Well, think about the game against Brighton. He did actually show that personality. He had a brilliant strike. The problem and they brought up Wes's line before, if you're relying on Tarkovsky accidentally hitting someone at the wrong moment and giving away a penalty sometimes, and other times doing the right challenge, standing up for his mate, looking like he enjoys a fight, or it's Branthwaite saying, here's my moment, and then we blow it. That's part of the problem too. We can't have Sam, if you're doing that analogy, if Frodo keeps telling Sam, go away, you stole the bread, or whatever it was, the elf bread, and kicks out the heroes the second they start to shine. Lemmer's bread. So anytime you take it, if the hero gets their wings clipped, how do we keep going? And that's part of how as a fan base. And I think that was the line Rod Ross said, you can only kick a dog so many times when they're down because you want a dog to start running. You can't trip them up every time they start running. So we don't have momentum.
Yeah. Well, actually, firstly, I do want to say, if you guys have already mentioned it as well, Eugene's mentioned it. You probably are aware Jimmy Husband died yesterday. Did you cover that already on the show?
No.
We haven't, no.
No. Yeah, just a true gentleman of the game, obviously. Joined Everton in the early 60s from the youth team, 63, 64. Up your neck of the woods, Chris. But not quite over the border. He's from, what was it, Newcastle? Yeah, won the league with the squad. Yeah. Apparently, by all accounts, a lovely man. So, thoughts to his friends and family. But that did cross my mind before.
Without death.
Hero. Yeah. And you were talking about who has the right personality for it, and I always wanted to see Gomez step up and be that sort of linchpin in midfield who can quietly and stoically direct the play. But, maybe he doesn't have that, in that Arteta mold. And he's not going to do that. But so you're right, who's going to do that? Because we have a manager who has a personality that's not the kind of pitch side personality like a Jose Mourinho or even some that are at the moment. You've got Klopp is... you know what? I'm not even gonna. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's a charismatic character. Yes.
Yeah. Let's not.
Should we jump back to something that Chris said earlier about? I think we were talking about formation and stuff like that. There was a lot. I was hearing quite a few Blues talking about we're not getting nothing from the fullbacks, right? It's probably agreed. We're not getting nothing from the fullbacks. So, and this thing with Ben Godfrey, and I like Ben Godfrey. I wish somebody could make a player out of him because when
he's honest, but he isn't good enough.
So, I mean, logic would say, as Chris said, if we're doing the same thing, it seems like we're doing the same thing for 11 games, we're getting nowhere, right? That could change if we go and win our next game playing the same, and do another Brighton. And he plays, and this is kind of forgotten a little bit. It's amazing what a win could do. But is it time now to look at Tarkovsky, Branthwaite, Coleman, or Godfrey at the back? You got you got pace, you got good in the air, you got a player, you got a guy that can play soccer, you got a guy that can win area and challenges, you got a guy that's got lots of pace. Then you're looking at attacking options, attack slash defense. So now you've got McNeil can play left wing back, and on the right you could probably don't know what the deal with Patterson is either. You can either play Patterson or Seamus wider, both good players, good crossers of the ball. Your two up front would be Dom, and I know that's starting to look a little bit like Burnley, but and then your three in the middle are anybody from Doucouré, Ghana, Onana, Garner, Gomez, blah blah blah, and waiting in the wings are pardon the pun, would be people like Dan Juma, a kid. Is it time to go to that? I don't know what these three talk about in training. Like, what the fuck do they talk about? I mean, we're talking about guys that they're doing all this on the sideline, and they've got the piece of paper out, and and what do they come up with? Let's put Ashley Young on.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Well,
I was going to say
I thought it
from
was
your
the right call because Harrison was so shit.
Why did
Young was better.
on?
He made an impact, and that's wild to me. And you should be right, Chris, but that was actually an effective move, and that's how bad we are.
But Aussie Chris, don't be blinkered when you're saying, like, what is it? The reference to a certain animated satirical American TV show. The choice is between a giant douche and a turd sandwich. Not to be disparaging about any Everton player, or just to talk about it metaphorically, right? Sorry, I was going to ask you, Canadian Chris.
Yeah.
From your footballing experience, then, do you want to, if you bare bones it and analyze, you've got to build. You want to be realistic and build on what we've got. So you go Pickford, Branthwaite, and Tarkowski in the middle, and then obviously if the combinations change, you then wonder: do I play three at the back or wing backs, or four at the back, and then do you have two defensive midfielders, or one that slots in, and then three? And so looking at what Everton have got at the moment and the potential. Would you change anything massively tactically to sort of change the setup, the tactics, the style? Whether you play triangles or the overlap, whether you have a man slotting back in to cover gaps in. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you build on this Everton team?
Well, I think he's damned if he doesn't, or he's damned if he does. If we got, I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks that Dyche is to me is in getting sacked territory. Who there is to replace him? Don't know. Neil Warnock. Who knows? Joking, of course, but who knows, right? If you need a hero and a character, he's certainly one. But anyways, this is it's 11 games, and probably if you dissect it over the other games before that, it's probably longer than that. It hasn't worked. But again, soccer's about fractions of seconds and fractions of inches. I got slaughtered for saying we never get any luck. We never get a break. That lot across the road get a break all the time. A deflection.
They can have all their players injured, and they still find a way to win a league cup.
Yeah,
But I would say though that the more you try, the harder you work, and the better the standard is, then the luckier you get.
And I actually got a little shirty, believe it or not, with one guy the other day. I said, okay, then if that's your point, that you make your own luck and you blah blah blah. I said, well, I'm not worried then for the rest of the season. I'm not worried. The next 10 games, I'm not worried, because according to your logic, it'll all work out. So we should get our luck between now and the end of the season. Good luck pinning your hopes on that. But again, I go back to that Brighton game. Like, it's in there somewhere, or did Brighton just have the worst day ever? I mean, I know it happens. I know, look at us. We went to the Wolves, and God knows what that was, I don't know. Is it? Do you take a chance and change the formation? Is that a show of desperation? Yeah. Are you going to dig your heels in and stick with Godfrey and Mikalenko and hope that Barrow and Dom take the chance? I don't know. If it was me, you got to fit Seamus Coleman in the team. I think he makes a difference. I do. I hate to say it. That's where we're at. Right?
I've been calling for it for a while.
Yeah, I think you have to. If Sean Dyche sits on his hands here, then what message is he sending to that clubhouse? What message is he sending to the fans? He's saying that I'm fresh out of ideas. No, I want to see I want to see him thinking of a different way of approaching this. I don't know if it's 5 in the back, bringing Michael Keane back with, Dwight and Seamus Coleman as wing backs, 2 up top. I don't know. I need to see that he cares and is thinking of different approaches to solve this, because him not doing something is a clearer path to us getting relegated than him trying to find a solution, even if that's not the correct solution.
Yeah. So Chad, you've got to go, Chad. Do you want to say anything else before you duck out, or you? Okay?
I wish, we got a little screwed up with the time change, but I really would love to continue to be on with you fellas. Let's figure out a chance to do it again. I've been wanting to stream with you guys for a long time.
I am sorry as well with the time difference. I was thinking, but before you go, you know what? I've been a bit other things for that. I did write a poem. It's only a short one.
Oh yes.
After the Man United game yesterday, and I was thinking, because I've just personal stuff's changed. I'm doing different writing, all that kind of stuff. And how many poems can I write about us the same thing every bloody week? Anyway, but so this is this one. Maybe shouts to get dice out, but not many voices with much clout, though that's a common theme about the club. Here's the rub, no doubt, another route as they tout our potential free kick harm, but we don't even have a coach for that at Finch Farm. Speaking of, maybe get Richard Arlison to drive. All aboard, and we might survive. There's no hope, no belief, hell, there's not even an overlap. Not exactly flying high, more flap, flap, flap. I said it pre-match, you might have heard, doing the same thing over and over's absurd. In fact, it's insane. Same approach, same outcome again and again. Can't you see the XG? We'd be sweet, safe and sound, but we're not playing FIFA online at our ground. No fantasy football, no predictions, no odds. We're resorting to begging and prayers to the gods. Oh, Lord above, or at this point, Satan below. I found myself asking, the match, do I have to go? Of course I still go, no choice, but you know how I feel. Don't kid a kidder. Real, recognise real. I go for love, but love's hard when it lacks a spark of joy. Like pre-game at the City Road Chippy, like Alex Young and Roy. Or Stevie P and Ozzy and Bainesy on the wing, the way even the bloody park end would stand up and sing. All I'm hungry for is a little consistency. Not us fans, we're tired, but from the match and others on TV, it's not just the management board and backroom staff. We've even lost Jimmy. Someone's having a laugh. If they think a new gaffer and gaff can plug this leak, because pre-match each week looks pretty bleak. Where's the youth of tomorrow? Because we're here today. And lads, don't you know, we need you to play. Where's the youngsters, the promise, the framed production line? They're all absent or still on the bench at full time.
Wonderful.
So
thank you.
Does that stir the pot and rage everyone to keep going, or do we think that's the perfect tire, a partial bow that's got holes in it? We're optimistic.
Do guys what you want, whatever you want, man. Like I thought Chad would want to do this before he had to leave. My lament of not trying out youngsters.
Can we get you on a plane to Portugal to address the team directly, please?
Do you know what? Let me just think. It's early March. It's freezing cold here. There's a 3-week break. Everton are shit. But you know what? Can I take one for the team and fly over to Portugal? Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey, can I do just one? Can I do one question? And we've all got to answer it. One question, and we answer it, and then we can go. But I get to ask the question.
Okay, let's do it.
Chris, here's your question, and you gotta just shoot from the hip here.
Okay.
We lose at Bournemouth. They sack Dyche. Who comes in?
What's the guy that went to Chelsea?
Potter.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Jan.
Yes.
They sack Dyche. We get at Bournemouth. Who do they bring in?
Potter. No, I was always for Potter. Graham Potter. Sports and emotional. There's something psychologically wrong with the team and the whole club and the whole business, the institution, everything. Get Potter in.
Chad.
I would love Potter. I would donate money to the cause for Potter, but could they afford Potter? No, I think you're looking at Big Dunk, who would probably do the job for free. So,
or are we stirring the Potter?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask myself now, but and I'm mad now because Chad just stole my thunder. I was talking about heroes. I don't think it matters what your football ability is, coaching wise or whatever. If they sack Dyche and they go up to Scotland, because he's having a terrible time up there, and they bring him down, that's the biggest gamble. But the crowd would just be, I mean, it's never going to happen, but I'd go for Dunk. I'd just bring him. Just, what the hell? You got 8 games left.
Yeah.
So,
That's
anyway,
interesting because he came
we'll see
back.
what happens.
He made an impact the first time. The second time wasn't so good. And yeah, gotta go, Chad. I will add real quick. He had to run. There was something that I was kind of getting quite bugged with. So I'm gonna see if I can bring up a stat here, and we all modify our lovely faces to the left. On the left-hand side, there is XG, and Man United. They 0.79 for every penalty. Okay. So if you add up all of this fancy XG, it's 0.79 times 2, take that out. They didn't even get 1 XG in this match. Now, the other thing that really bugs me about these numbers, which I haven't heard anyone say, but I did a bit of digging on it. Total shots, 23. 10 of them blocked. And when I looked at all the XG and added it up myself, 1.48 for the XG for Everton was over all 23 shots. So a lot of our XG is actually coming from block shots that shouldn't even be counted to me. And we're claiming that that's a goal scoring opportunity. And I think that's
especially if it's cited from 20, 25 yards out. And I get you.
But the best XG was the offside call for Ben Godfrey that Onana hit Onana. Sorry, not offside. It hit Onana's arm. Then it was a scramble, and they gave that nearly a quarter XG, and it was like our best chance of the game. But it wouldn't have been a call. It was blocked anyway. So these are
How
the
do you
kind of
figure
things
this out, like differentials, or does it have a?
On SofaScore, I went through all the XGs and I looked and I decided I would add it on my other phone, and it added up to that number. So we're realizing then that on these XG numbers, 10 of them are counting. So like, why? And that's the other thing. Half of our time we're so slow to release the ball. We're afraid. We lack the courage and conviction to pass the ball or shoot early. And it makes us look better than we are statistically. So,
yeah. Hey, Chris, what's the views today? I can't see it.
We're at about, we've been a little over 120 at the moment.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect time to for me to do the whole plugging thing before Ryan chains me up in a basement and starts whipping me again. Thank you very much for watching us on this lovely Mother's Day afternoon, for us at least. Do like, subscribe, hit the notifications, and we do appreciate all the sort of VIP members that allow us to have a more transnational, multi, and put out more stuff. And also you get to watch it.
If you're a premium member, you might even get a little icon next to your name. So that goes for Emma.
How did we not show that comment? Yeah.
You'd take Harry Potter. I mean, he does come up with magic. The problem is, if you're playing Harry Potter, I gave us a bunch of Hufflepuffs without spine. I am a Hufflepuff, and I'll own it.
Yeah. All right, guys, I gotta go.
Okay.
Okie dokie, Chris.
So this sounds maybe like a good time for closing, unless you want any final statements, Jan?
No, I would like to know from Chris, though, which youngsters he thinks have a lot of promise.
Not Dobbin.
No? Is he too wild chicken? Headless chicken, or?
No, he's not my guy unless he. And you know what? That's something I have to brush up on, because I don't know enough about the 23s and all that. I hear about. I mean, didn't we have a left back that we gave to Fulham that's playing in Fulham's first team now?
Is it Niels and Kunku?
Or no, the other guy that's playing for Fulham, left back.
Anthony Robinson? No.
Yeah. He was Everton, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I have to brush up on that, the U23s, but I don't know. I mean, did they win the league or something last year? Usually you can tell by who won the league or the cup last year. Don't know who that was, but no, I don't know a lot about the youth coming through.
It's a snowball effect, isn't it? You kind of lose interest and passion and love when it's just so much fatigue to even unlock that box. It's like, oh, Everton. Yeah. Oh no.
I do watch the training sessions that the Everton Football Club publish, and you can see a few faces training with the first team that you don't recognise. So
Mhm.
that's usually a sign of who's getting to train with the first team. They're usually on the bubble, so need to figure out who that is.
Okay.
So it's
But I
not a
don't-
fourth goalkeeper, is it?
That first team, so we were good.
Billy Crellin.
Anyway,
Ugh.
I gotta go, guys. I got the dog yelling at me here, so it's been great, and I'll hear from you guys. Chris, you let me know when the next one is, because this is a good time, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, I think if we do Sunday shows, we'll keep in touch for next time. All right. And
Okay.
with that, thank you everyone for listening. Sure, we'll have some content throughout this gap. We don't want to have half of Merseyside feeling like in an ominous dark place while the club's in Portugal. So I'm sure we'll try and do some watch-alongs or some midweek content. But until next time, thank you everyone, and up the toffees.